Same light, still on that same clock.
5 o'clock.
I've got 5 o'clock, and it looks like it's about a minute till, so why don't we go with the invitation? I don't think a minute's gonna hurt us, is it? Because I think we're good. Mr. Lloyd Lackington was going to give our invitation tonight, and he's been delayed at a doctor's appointment in Dothan. The doctor had emergency surgery, so if you'll bow. Our God, we thank you again for the privilege that we have to gather here tonight to conduct the business of this town, for this community, Lord, our neighbors. Thank you for the opportunity that you've given us to be servants to all. We ask tonight that every deliberation, each thing that we discuss, that we will do it openly and freely, that the wisdom of many heads would prevail, and that we would reach those things that are right and righteous for this town. And all these things we ask that you would get yourself the glory in it. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Would you join me in the pledge? Mr. Paul, I didn't ask you, but would you please?
Certainly will.
You don't mind.
Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have anyone signed in?
Jasper's gonna be here, but if he's gonna be here in a
He's gonna
minute,
be
he's
here.
trying
All right.
to, if he don't, I'll.
Okay,
come
if
right turn
you,
off.
you all have your package and have the opportunity. Can you see my green light? Am I on?
You on?
Oh, I did it
You
on.
you can't hear
It's
me.
not picking up, they're not picking up anyway.
I can hear you when
I heard Margaret, but she looked right down into it, but other than that, they don't pick
Oh,
up.
I don't pick up good.
that might have been yours.
I'd love to do that.
I'm not on.
Okay.
No, you're not on.
Yeah, I'm,
Let me go check the.
let me go check the board for you.
Please.
Yes, sir.
I will speak louder until we know that I'm on. We have the same problem. Thank you for continuing. We have the same problem at church, almost at the point that we're beginning to lose members because they can't hear. And when I get them loud enough, I'm almost about to lose other members because now they can't hear too loud. So, hey, I think you hit me.
Is that, I can hear you
Am I
now.
on?
Touch that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you're on.
Okay, all right.
Darn on.
All right, thank you.
Y'all just needed a lawyer who doubles as a sound man.
There you go. Thank you, Mr. Carter. All right, you've had the opportunity to look at your agenda and your minutes. Is there any additions, corrections, or deletions that we need to make? If none, then we will accept a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda.
And that includes paying the bills and all that stuff that goes with it. It is. Okay, we have a motion or a second? We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? How do you vote, Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Ms. Carter?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Mr. Walksnail?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Ms. Mizell,
Yes.
come speak to it, or you can do it there, just speak loudly, okay?
Okay. I want to start a women's support group. I've got, there's a need in the community for women who are struggling through things, and they need to be able to express themselves and have somewhere to go to talk about what's bothering them. I've got 29 years sobriety. I worked my butt off in the program. I sponsored people. I'm nervous.
That's all right.
I sponsored people. I worked the program. I worked on my character defects. I got 7 years counseling for mental disabilities that I have. I was the oldest daughter of J.D. Hicks. I was raised in Orlando, Florida by my mom. I've been up here for about 17 years, and I just want to make a difference in the community and really help.
Okay. So, a little more detail about what your plan is. That's about you and something. Now tell us a little more detail about what you're asking us for.
I had a friend that was suicidal, and she told me about it, and we tried to find her a counselor, and we couldn't find anything that she could afford, and she needed someone desperately to talk to. I didn't feel like I was qualified, and then God struck me in the head, call your little brother. He's got his doctor's degree in theology and plenty of experience in counseling. And he talked to her for over an hour and helped her through it and gave her some referrals. And I'd like to be able to do something like that for the community, for people that are struggling with past trauma, current trauma, trauma from raising their kids, trauma from their marriage, just everything. Just an open discussion, women sharing their experience, strength, and hope, and just being there for each other. And also, I'm not gonna tolerate any gossip. Anyone caught gossiping, and they'll be forewarned, will be asked to leave the group and not allowed to come back. Because gossiping about somebody else's problems can cause a lot of damage.
When are you asking, what are you asking for, when?
When I first told Margaret about it, she said that, I told her I wanted to do it a couple times a week, and she told me Mondays and Thursdays were open. I'd like to do it from 11 to noon on Mondays and Thursdays, but I want to wait till after the holiday to start it in January, so I'll have time to advertise and get people interested. I also want to get some professionals, like a doctor or nurses, to come in and talk about coping skills, safety, maybe do some safe place, get some women to volunteer to have their houses a safe place for kids. If they're ever in trouble, they'll have some place to go to. Get the sheriff's department to help us with that. And I just got a lot of ideas.
It sounds like it, and it sounds like they're good ideas. They're the kinds of things that there's probably a need for in almost any community.
Right.
So what you're asking us for, if I understand, is the use of the building
Yes, sir.
a couple of times a week for about an hour each session.
Yes, sir.
Anybody have a question before we?
What days?
Mondays and Thursdays, from 11 to 12.
Anything going on that time of day?
Nothing at all, Monday or Thursday.
Mr. Porter, anything now? We'll get,
It's
we'll all get a
just a
second
support
chance.
group you getting together, is that
Yes,
it?
sir.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. This way. Are you a therapist or credentialed in any way? You're just
No, I am not a
life
licensed
experience,
therapist. Yes,
life
sir.
experience,
Yes, sir.
okay?
I won't be diagnosing anybody or only offering suggestions from my experience and things that have worked for me and things that have worked for others. But I can give them referrals, references, help them in any way I can.
Well, you know, anything that's good, I'm for. If it helps somebody, I don't see a problem with it myself.
Thank you, sir.
Whatsoever. But I leave it up to the other council members.
I think it's good. I would hate for us to do anything or even endorse anything that's going to conflict with,
Right.
what was the place that Jay, we took Jay?
What?
The place where we took Jay to for,
It was the boys ranch up
no,
at,
some
The
life.
one in Bonnetay?
Life management.
Oh, I was in black management for
Yeah.
16 years.
You work there?
No, I didn't work there, I was a patient
was-
there.
it was,
So I'd hate for us to do anything that's going to conflict with anybody that's established with
No,
a professional or anything
no,
like
no.
that. Okay.
I mean, I'd be happy to email you weekly what's going on, what we talked about. I won't give you specifics like who it is and what it was, but I can give you an idea of what was said and what suggestions the people came up with and stuff like that for a time so that you could see what's going on.
How
Okay.
many, excuse me, excuse me, Mayor, how many people you think would be interested in coming? Or there, would
I
you
know
have
of
a
2
number?
right now, but I haven't advertised it.
I want to come back to your reporting to us, but I'm gonna ask Mr. Carter something first. Once upon a time, another attorney said that anybody can sue anybody for anything, and I think we all know what that means. But do we take on any kind of liability if we provide a facility and there's bad information or bad counseling or anything like that? Do we take on, just because we provide the facility, do we take on any kind of liability?
Not strictly speaking, but it would need to be strictly advertised, considered, deemed. It would have to be understood that it is strictly a community support group. It's
Okay,
not in any way medical advice,
Right.
psychological
Right, right.
advice, therapeutic advice,
Right.
counseling,
right,
nothing official. It's just a gathering in the community of community members for their benefit. And that would need, and we wouldn't need releases or anything like that, but I would
Yeah.
wanna see any literature that went out about it, just to make sure that the
Okay.
town's in good shape from that regard.
okay.
You're saying that what they do here would be the same kind of thing they could do under an oak tree?
Exactly, yes, sir.
Sort of a thing, and
And so they could be working on those quilts over there and talking
And
amongst
talking,
themselves.
okay.
Whatever the support is, as long as there's no official diagnosis, treatment, discussions that'd be covered by HIPAA or any kind of medical
Right.
privileges, those
Right.
kinds of things the town couldn't participate in. And then that would also address the practical issues of, it is a town office, you've got people coming and going during the day,
Mm,
so you wouldn't have any confidentiality or expectation of privacy amongst the group. So that's something for you to keep in mind too.
Okay,
But from the city or town's perspective, we could do that.
Yeah, and we wouldn't, it would be the same as an endorsement. It wouldn't necessarily be an endorsement. We're just
Yes, sir.
allowing the facility, like the community club.
Just a
next
community
door.
center.
Okay.
Yes, sir, that's exactly right. I don't
Is
see any
everybody,
problem with that.
we good with that aspect? On your reporting, I personally would like to have a report, but not every week.
Okay.
Maybe you could give us something quarterly like our employees do, or monthly even, and the reason I said that, I'd like to see if there's numbers, I'd like to see those numbers. Don't care about names, I think that may be a bit, that could be, as far as I'm concerned, that could be a confidentiality between the group.
okay.
Unless we want to know names, I don't want to know names necessarily, but,
I would suggest,
I-
Mayor, if I can interrupt, that you don't want to know names.
okay, that's what I think.
You would want just the most general, generic, vanilla report of how it's going.
Right.
Would be the best thing.
Do we need a report?
I don't think you really need one.
Okay.
But it would be good for the town council to just be aware that
Yeah,
it's a continuing worthwhile thing. From that perspective, I think that would be helpful.
yeah, we don't ask for one for other clubs and groups that use it, and if we're going to allow this, I'd like for it to be on a level
Yes, sir.
field. So whether you come to see us once in a while and say it's going good, or I thought this was a good idea, but
Right,
nobody's showing up anymore, so I'm gonna
Right.
try something else. You don't know what's gonna happen.
No,
We
I
either,
don't.
So,
I pray only for God's will and the strength to carry it out.
Miss Michelle, how many hours you asking for, dear?
Just 2 hours a week.
4 hours a week?
No, 2 hours a week.
2 hours on
Yes, sir.
2 days a week, right?
Yes, sir, an hour
1
a
hour on
day.
2 days.
Oh, 1 hour and 2 days.
Yeah.
1 hour a day, okay.
Right,
Okay.
Matter of fact, I don't see how you will accomplish anything if you have very many in an hour, but that's what you're asking us for.
right.
Yes.
Well, we did amazing things in an hour a day. Hey, I've been to many groups, many groups in
Congratu-
29 years.
Congratulations on your 29 years.
Thank you, sir.
And we hope it continues.
It will.
Okay, we've heard Mrs. Mizel's request, and that would be that sometime after New Year's, that she would begin to use, is it every week? You're wanting it every week?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that she would be allowed to use the city hall Mondays and Thursdays each week for, a support group,
Yes, sir. Agape Woman Support Group.
the women's support group. What's the pleasure of council?
I make a motion to let her do the women's council group.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second, any discussion? Just one word of discussion, is there going to be cost to this?
No, sir.
What do you, I'm gonna ask one more question.
Okay.
What do you expect out of the town, just, or that space for y'all to meet? Is
Yes,
that
sir,
correct?
that's all.
That's all, okay?
Good question. That's a good question. Okay, any other discussion on the motion? How you vote, Ms. West?
Yes.
Ms. Forrest?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Ms. Carter?
Yes.
Ms. Hart? Yes.
Oh, praise God.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good luck. On a personal note, if we can help, I'm sure that any of us would, but, I guess, we wish you the best.
Thank you
And,
very much.
we'll look forward to sometime February, March, or end of January or something, you can give us, an idea of what you think you're doing, but as far as I'm concerned, we don't have to have a regular, unless we want something, or unless we get complaints and need to talk to you about
Right.
something that's going on in the city hall.
Right,
So you
right,
just
I
give us
understand.
something like, how many showed up? You know, like in the first meeting, maybe 2 or 3 showed up, maybe in a month later, 6 or 8 showed up.
Yeah,
How it's progressing along.
I like that. Okay? Well, thank you for coming.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay, we have one that has signed it, Mr. Jasper Carter. Hey, I'm reading it upside down, but I don't see a second name. Come on up and talk to us.
I would like to ask the city or how we would go about, Jackson Street dead ends at Glen. And, it dead ends, but it's platted to go on through. Is there any way that I could petition the city to close that? So it no longer goes through and divide that land between the residents that own property right there?
Is Glenn this one side of Methodist Church? Is that Glenn on the other side of you?
Yeah,
Is that what he- that's what he
that's,
called
that's to east of your house you just
Mhm.
purchased.
Yes, sir.
You know, it's rode up, but yeah, it's, used to be a bridge down there at one
That's what
time,
I've heard.
and it's caved in, you know, so.
It's all really what's name's house.
Okay.
Jasper did.
That's been one of my favorite places in Wausau ever since I was a little boy.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
used to
yeah.
fish down
How
there.
you going to
Pretty
roll
house.
on Walsnam House down?
Prettiest house in Wausau.
Yeah.
Well, we're doing some work on it.
As I recall, we've already taken some action on that, and we chose not to close it at that time, and I'd have to go back, this has been years ago, when the other Mr. Carter lived there.
Mike.
Yeah, and we did do something that permitted, a continuing use kind of a thing on it, but if the city ever needed it, we could, with a reasonable notice, anything that was built in it or something, give them a chance to move. We'd probably have to check those minutes and see. You can always petition, anybody can always petition us for this. What, was that some kind of long, that was a,
We didn't ever do a lease or nothing, it's just in the minutes that they could use it, you know,
Yeah.
for such times as we needed it.
Yeah.
But he would have to petition us in writing
Was
to,
it in the form of an easement maybe, or, but nothing recorded, I don't guess, is it?
nothing that was recorded.
It's nothing recorded. I had the title company look way back and they couldn't find anything to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that
Where,
other one?
where this goes right straight.
There you go, I'll show you. It's, there's 77, there's the Methodist Church, there's Glen, there's Jackson. I bought that house there.
Oh, okay.
And when you zoom, well, maybe this one ain't gonna zoom in and give you, but it goes on out right across that swamp right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's all swamp.
It's all swamp and growed up, I don't,
It goes down there a little ways and turns back and goes.
do you wanna see that?
But it's
Oh,
plowed right away.
yeah.
Before this road was paved, that was the main road, and it made a curve just beyond you
Yeah,
and come out where Pioneer is, about where L'Oreal Harvey's home is now. It used to go around there across the little bridge, used to be a baptizing hole right over there, churches used to baptize.
That's way back from my time. You
I didn't,
remember
I
that?
didn't know.
You remember that, Robert, that?
Well, I've heard it so many times, I think I remember.
Hands down, me.
Big Gene Hutto got baptized down there at night one time, that was a bit long, but,
I know Miss
when
Betty
it,
Jean, that's,
when it turns and goes back, I don't know that I think that was ever platted. I think the plat may have continued on north. Is there anything beyond that, you can still see the old road down there?
I haven't been all the way through there, but right there, there's a fire hydrant that's actually right in the middle of that road, in that plat right there. But the plat shows it going straight on north for about 200 yards and then dead ends into, I forgot who owns that property right there, but just kind of dead ends and stops.
Probably Gene Owens or,
Probably Shirley Browder.
Yeah.
would be Shirley.
I'd be Shirley.
I'd say.
Now, hers is to the left of mine right there.
Yeah.
It's, I think it's Bobby Walsham's
Yeah.
that has a bunch of
Well,
land
he's
right
got
there.
some.
And it dead ends into his
And where
place
the
right
old
there.
road turns back and goes out that way, you can still see it where it comes out on Pioneer over here just before we get to George Rogers Park. But it's a back road that another generation won't see it because he's got planted pines there. But Bobby owns both sides of the road there and back into that swamp there,
Yeah, Bobby owns that.
a good piece.
Mhm.
Yeah, right there,
The process, is it a form he has to get from you?
No, he just
You
submits a
you submit,
request.
you submit a request in writing,
Okay,
then there's some advertising and some
Mhm.
things like that, and we vote on it twice. We
Twice.
vote to advertise, and we vote to either close or deny or something like that, if I
And we
remember.
close by resolution.
And close, then we have to close by resolution.
Have to concur with the county commission. and-
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
it's a kind of
Sure.
an involved process, but it's not something that you just
Right.
throw in the block and move to the next one kind of a thing.
right. Well, sounds good to me. I'll just get with you next week and, are y'all gonna be closing all next week?
Marcy will be here Monday and Tuesday. Margaret won't be here.
Okay.
Just send me an email, Justin, we'll.
Just the email, that'd be all you need? Okay, I can do that.
And you, how far in there do you go after the curve, after you're at home, how far behind your home does that road go?
That road goes just past Miss Shirley's place. She owns the, like, 6 or 8 city lots right there.
Old John Muir's house.
Mm-hmm. And then it goes maybe another couple hundred yards until it hits Bobby's place. So it don't go
So
very far
if it
down
goes
there.
another couple hundred yards in there, 200 yards, that's another 600 feet. If you there, you gonna come in there right behind the Baptist church, it's gonna go as far as the Baptist church.
It might go that far.
Yeah, and I know that Gene Owens has a, has a lot in there, I think it's an acre or something like that. Merle Jones may have had some in there, I know she had some down here, and she gave that to us for us to swap to the DEP or somebody for offsetting the mitigation for wetlands and things like that. And what I'm thinking is, to keep somebody else from having to come, if Jasper talked to all those folks, and I'm usually opposed to closing streets and alleys and all like that, but when there's this situation like you're dealing with, there's an opportunity to do something, we may want to close it all the way to the end,
To the extent of the plan.
to the extent of the plat.
It's all wetlands and all swamp.
Yeah, it's all swamp and,
yeah.
You may want to talk to, whoever the next two
mhm.
owners are, or whoever the plat ends, and see if they want to join you in that petition. I'd rather do that than have.
I can do that.
We'll close it if we close it from Glen 200 feet, then we still got a piece of platted property over here, and somebody might come in sometime and open that, so how we gonna open it if we can't get to it?
Mhm.
If we close it all
Right.
the way up.
Now, could my petition just say close that whole road? I've already talked to Miss Shirley and her daughter that she lives with up north and told them what my plans was to come by and see if we could petition to close that road, and they're all for it.
Yeah, I talked
And
to
I'm-
her also.
And I'm sure that Bobby won't care to get a couple
Yeah,
hundred feet of
would
land
you-
either.
Jasper, would you
No,
mind,
I'm ahead with it. I can get one.
talking to Bobby
Yeah.
too?
Sure, no, I will.
Okay.
I have no problem with that.
Yeah,
I'll take care
they'd
of it.
all probably be with you on that.
When you close a piece of
Cleanest way to do it.
Yeah.
When you close a piece of property, the landowners are always the winners. They get
Yeah,
half of
half
that
and half.
Right.
back to them, so I can't imagine anybody not wanting to as long as it's been.
Right.
Only thing I want to request of you that you give me a walking easement to go in there sometime or see if I can find out about baptizing.
Well, you can go by my place anytime.
There's probably a place in there where a bridge was taken out, it was an old wooden bridge, and there's
Mhm.
probably a place you'll find a dip in there or something like that, I'd like to.
You're welcome to,
While I'm
anytime you
still
want
able
to
to
cross
walk,
the
I'd
line.
like to, Dwayne said he could show it to me, but while I'm still able to walk, I'd like to go in there sometime.
He may
Uh,
push you in it.
would- if we're gonna
He may
receive,
push you in it.
yeah, if we're gonna receive a petition from Jasper, Mr. Carter, can he petition for the whole thing with or without the consent of the other landowners?
He can, yes, you can. It would be easier and cleaner if you all jointly petitioned.
Yeah.
It would be just a slam dunk.
Okay, do I just need to get something on paper and have each one of them sign it?
Yes.
Miss Shirley it's gonna be hard for her to sign it, because she's in, I think, North Carolina.
They could-
But we've already talked to her, I've talked to her and Miss Riley's talked to her. And so, but I can
Well, if she sent in something like a.
I can get an email from her, I think it's her daughter that has power of attorney
I
over
was
her
gonna
stuff.
say a letter,
Yeah.
or if her daughter.
I'm
has
actually
power
buying
of
part of
attorney.
that, part of her
Yeah,
land.
and talk to Bob and get his
I will.
approval to it,
Yeah.
okay?
I will.
Yeah.
And that would, I think that would sell if you do
Now,
that.
the state may actually own that piece, the next couple of pieces after Shirley's, because they've already torn down a
Mhm.
house, so if they bought it all the way into the swamp, they've gone on that, and then I think they bought the one where Mr. Mercer Cox's well used to be. You know, that little wood next to the Baptist church, and there's a little hump out there.
Yeah,
Wood, and they bought that all the way to the swamp.
Won't be a problem.
I'm sure the state would not have any, and I don't know if it's gonna go as far as touching the Baptist church, but I'm sure they wouldn't, because that would add a little bit more, they've developed some playground or something behind that, I'm sure they would, but.
I will.
And I don't know
I'll
how,
handle that.
I don't know how quickly you're wanting to move, but if it's not a rush thing, I'd touch all the bases before you come back, and then
I will.
if, I think you said cleaner, neat and clean, and it would keep us from making a mistake as we pursue what you're looking for. Is that okay with everybody for him to?
Because if you petition without them petitioning, we'll have to send each of them a certified
You'll have
letter.
to get it
that
with them.
Have to contact.
You've requested that we close this portion of the road and get their input on it.
Yeah,
Okay, I will.
okay. So it's all right for him to go away and come back, isn't it? Everybody, thanks, okay, go away and come back.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
Thank you for meeting with us, and, when if you run into anything that we can help you walk through the process, just,
I'll do it.
just know. Anything else from you?
Nope,
Okay,
I'm good.
stay with us as long as you like, I was just gonna move the agenda if you didn't have anything else, okay?
You can go now.
I got some things to go do.
Okay. Thanks. All right, Madam Clerk,
All right. You guys need to get a job description for an inmate supervisor, and I have done that. I think it's in your packets. If it's not in your packet, I have one here that you can, the very back, you know.
yeah, I read that.
You read that?
Yeah, I read it.
We need to advertise and we need to move on this.
would that be before all the documents from last
Right.
month, or would it be
No,
right,
right at
way
them.
back here?
Right, keep on going this little
Is that
bit
it?
farther. Right
I
there.
said, you don't take my job, yeah, that's it,
Is this one that somebody,
Yeah,
is
I
this one
read
that
it.
somebody had, or
Washington County,
Washington County?
I wrapped it for us.
Okay.
Adjusted the hours to 28 hours per week. $14.70 an hour starting, maintain a driver's license, you gotta be state, keep their certification through DOC. That's gonna narrow down the applicants, you know, that we do a background check, the DOC does a background check.
Okay, on the roles and responsibilities, it performs other related duties
That's in every
as
job
assigned.
description that we have.
Okay, I was gonna ask, is that the same thing you say, any other
If they don't get, if the
responsibility,
prison
discretion
keeps
of
the
the-
inmates that day, he works maintenance here, you know,
Okay, so,
you know.
you
So
say
prison
something about
can-
to the discretion of the board or the supervisor, something like that, but that covers that.
Mhm.
If he needs to paint, he paints, if he needs to hoe, he hoes.
If he's got inmates, he supervises them, if inmates.
And I
can't come
noticed
in.
he had to finish high school, had to have a high school.
I think DOC's gonna require that, now we can
You can,
amend that with qualifications, you know, if he has experience and
Okay,
qualifications,
okay.
yeah.
I just noticed it in there.
We can for sure make it a preferred thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are you asking us for, to approve this
To
job
approve this
description? so
job
you can
description where I can put it on our website.
Advertise it, okay. Do we have to advertise other than the website and workforce or something?
We advertise through, Career Source and our website.
Okay. What's the pleasure of the council?
I make a motion that we approve it and give.
I asked Sergeant Cooper how long he would hold our spot, he said, just hurry up. I said,
Okay, yeah, yeah.
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second that we approve the job description. Now, it does have the starting pay in there, does that lock us into that, or
no, that'd be at
just by
discretion.
motion, of the council, we can change that anytime we need to,
Yeah,
we
that's
give a
just a
raise
minimum,
or get a new.
Minimum starting pay is that.
Motion and a second, any discussion on the motion? How you vote, Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Park? Yes. Ms. West?
Yeah.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
And Chair votes yes.
Qualifying results, we're not going to have an election in Wausau. Our three incumbents were the only ones to qualify, which was Mayor Hagan, Ms. Carter, and Mr. Park. So congratulations, y'all, for swearing in January.
And I haven't seen either one of you since qualified, but congratulations to you as well. Thank you. Okay?
Christmas parade, December 3rd, 1 p.m. Christmas festival and lighting of the town squares. Lighting the town squares at 5 o'clock. We're gonna have limited participation in the parade this year. We're trying to compete with the City of Chipley, City of Panama City Beach, City of Panama City, and Port St. Joe.
All on the same day?
All on the same day, yes, sir. Our lodge is not going to do the pancake breakfast. They cannot fit it into their schedule. We may have one set of Shriners here that will break off and come and do our parade, but it's gonna be limited. We need to really think hard about moving our parade back to its regular time, whether they have the festival, whatever day they wanna have it, but have our parade and our stuff. We can't, City of Chipley's got an ice skating rink on Saturday evening
We need to go back to the second Saturday, don't
at
we?
10 a.m. when we normally do it, but that'll be in January when we vote on that.
Did we vote to change that?
Yes, sir, the development come before y'all,
Came to us and wanted to change it.
and we did,
I just
and
wanna
we
make,
made a
I
mistake.
wanna make sure that we're the ones that's doing the setting of times and schedules and things like that if it's a town function. We want them to participate, but
The fire department was very upset they were not asked, but that was during a time of turmoil for them, and they
yeah,
were,
yeah.
they're,
We had a lot of,
yeah, we've had a lot this year.
we did have a.
But that's gonna be discussed in January, of moving that parade back to our regular date and time. Okay, from October.
This is just FYI for us,
Yes. Mr. Paul's got it advertised for us,
okay. And the line in the squares at 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock, yes, sir. You'll need to be there if you can, sir, please.
I'll try.
Carol,
The
forget.
third, December 3rd,
5 o'clock, is that what?
What about,
I need to be there to light the
oh,
Christmas tree or.
we'll be through by then, I hope. We got a baby shower that day too,
Yeah.
at the Wausau Assembly.
Y'all get those great grands real frequent now.
This is a great grand, yeah.
Sometimes that first Saturday's gonna be right close to, if you have Thanksgiving on the 4th Thursday and it winds up on the 28th, that first Saturday's gonna be 2 days later, that's gonna be a long packed into the weekend. I agree with Ms. West, we may just need to turn that back, have two events if you want to, light the Christmas tree on the first Saturday.
It worked out
if you want
last
to.
year great, you know,
Yeah,
have two
yeah,
events.
yeah, okay. All right, go ahead.
Okay, from the October meeting, y'all asked me to, see if I could make contact with Mr. Huffman about, any progress on the Dollar General. I have not been able to get up with him, and you said you would talk to Ms. Burge when you went to one of the meetings.
We got one of those in the morning.
So that's good, we can, if you will talk with her. And from the workshop, y'all asked me about any driveway permits and mobile home permits. There's only been one driveway permit, and it was on September the 20th of 22 for Ms. Druselle Hagan up on Memorial Drive. I have not, All I got was, that was it, you know, we didn't get a permit or nothing of what they did or anything like that, but they did say there was a permit issued for a driveway. We were not notified. And, but the, Ms. Hagan also on, and back in June, put a mobile home up there, but that went through the process with planning, but that's the only thing that's been through planning. Up there on Hagan Road or Memorial Drive. If there's something else up there, it's not gone through the system.
Okay, and I'm not just concerned about that, I'm concerned about that driveway because it's on our street.
It is.
But not just on Memorial Drive, is there anything else here that didn't go through the process?
I don't see any mobile homes. There was Dwayne Carter's house. That's from, right on back. But that's for your information.
This is printed out from whom?
Donald McDonald,
Okay,
Planning Commission.
well, I know how to read it when I
Yes, sir, you will.
go off and look at
Yeah,
it,
you will,
okay?
yes.
All right. Would you follow up with with that permit then and ask what the recommendation was, and has it been approved?
It has been approved, and,
It
but
has?
Danny Jackson approved it. It's approved, yes. But I don't know how it was approved, but.
And they didn't have to put any milled asphalt or culvert or anything like that?
But I'll touch base with Mr. Jackson.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. When we started just driving through our ditches, we opened ourselves up for erosion to begin. If
It's bad,
if
it's bad on
me-
Memorial Drive anyway, the
It's-
erosion is.
It is bad, and if it's me, I've been $600 worth of rocks and stuff like that, trying to keep my water off the county's road over on the other side of the hill. I'll look at this, would you please check with Danny and
I will.
ask him,
I will.
did they not think they needed something there? Because the one next to it, first from here, that wall, they had to put milled asphalt on it. This is further downhill, and they ain't doing anything but just driving across the dirt. Okay,
Okay.
go ahead.
Clerk's hours, as y'all know, was budgeted for me to go to 16 hours per week, beginning, hopefully the week after Thanksgiving, but that may not happen. We got mid-reads to get out. But just for your information, you know, there'll be days and weeks that I'll have to be here all week, or some, you know, we're having a time with some grants right now, and it's been all day long, every day for several weeks. We got a new grant administrator in Tallahassee.
Oh my.
She's a civil engineer. She's good at her job. She's tough on us, but she's good at her job. But just let you know that that in order to keep our budget where we can have someone else in the office, you know, we have to cut somewhere. And I can draw Social Security and Marcy can't.
You know, things catches up with us, and it's caught up with us. My concern now is how much of what you know does Marcy know?
Marcy knows more than I do right now on the water system, I can assure you. She is doing excellent on that. We will begin as soon as she gets off probation, we will begin starting on the accounting. And then I'll be eventually just handling the grants, you know. She's not comfortable yet doing the grants. She's listening in on the, team meetings, you know. And all, she's getting familiar with it. She's doing the filing on where she'll know what it looks like. But I can tell y'all, she is excellent at what she does.
She gonna be able to come to these meetings and provide us with information that you're able to provide us with now. I know there's there's a institutional knowledge that you have that she hasn't developed or acquired yet, but is that going to be able to happen?
Within the next year or so, yes, sir, it will, or two, maybe.
By the time you're fully retired.
By the time I'm fully retired, you know. Eddie says never, you know, when my toes turn up, they'll take me out of here, but you know, I hope not.
Anybody have a question about the clerk's transition? And we do know that you'll be available for a phone call. And
I do,
so many things
the
like that.
grants
We
at
do know
home,
that.
yeah, I do all that, you know.
Okay.
All right, I got two more things.
Oh,
That's all, yeah.
Not just one.
Let me give you, pass these down, there's 2 pages of each. And this is on, y'all recognize, this is Miss Johns' house, and we've been working with this gentleman for several weeks. Are trying to get him to clean up. I called him again last week, and he's about to hang us up on us. He told us we're at the point that we're harassing him to get him to clean up. But it's really bothering the neighbors across the road. And as you can see, he's cleaned up some, it looks, but this is, if you ride by there, that's just junk there. And
This is after cleaning it.
it's after clean up. It's not.
I'm glad you told me.
You already seen it before. But anyway, it's a bad place there, and it's blowing over across the road. Mr. John Rolls had some conversations with, with Ms. Nichols, and it's really, it's bad. And the neighbors next door in Miss Dorothy's house, you know, they're not happy either. The yards are awful, everything's awful. Do we go ahead?
The ones in Miss Dorothy's house is not a part of that family,
No.
they're not connected.
Who are the people?
I thought.
The Laminates.
What'd you say, Karen?
The ones in Miss, Dorothy McDonald's house, I thought they was related to the ones in Miss Johnson's house, but
No.
they're not.
This house is actually in a state, the mother died, Miss Carnley died, and her daughter was living there. And then the husband, he's not ex yet, and his daddy come in there, and it got to a point that they couldn't, the wife and the children could not stay there any longer safely. So they left, we locked the meter. He come in, paid a new deposit in his name, we locked the meter again. But he still won't clean up, we've called and we've sent a letter and we've called and all. Do we need to go in and turn this one over to the county?
Now, let me tell you, down where you got each of the members, for us to speak, the one thing that I had to add to that was that they, I'm sure do now have a code enforcement officer. I actually asked our commissioner last week at the Veterans Day, and he says, you know what? I don't know. He says, one day we got one, and one day we don't, and one day somebody just quit, and somebody's coming on, and things like that. But I was in this morning in the annex, and they got a name, on the door, and the door was open. There was somebody in there. I didn't go in, I didn't speak, I was in a hurry. But we do have, I believe the name is Judy, maybe Judy Rydell or something like that, I think was the name. But I do believe that they have a code enforcement officer now.
Okay.
If that's the case, based on the things we had a few months ago, when you can't do this, and
Gotta send it right to
can
them.
we now do some things?
Yes, sir.
Send this to code enforcement.
Yeah. Well, let's vote on it, let's see what we're gonna do.
Go ahead.
No, she
What
said,
about the Thomas's place over there? Has anything
Yeah.
been done on any of that
No,
over there?
no, 'cause I rode by it today.
talked about that last week.
Yeah.
Which
No.
place? Thomas's, over there right down the road from my house, right past, where Miss Clovis used to
Corey
live.
Hicks.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think you've got some that that we've had for maybe 2 years, maybe more. We've got some that have been here forever and forever. I think anything that you've got that's pending,
Okay,
not just this, you can
Okay.
prioritize them if you want to, or if the council wants to as well. But I think we've got enough that's been pending. And the same day I asked the commissioner about, do we have a code enforcement officer? One of our residents asked me, did we ever get one, and what y'all gonna do? So, if we've got one, whatever we're gonna do now, I think is the time to do it. Anything that's pending, how many, just off the top of your head, do you think that would be? There is some cleanup going on in town.
it would probably be 3 to 4 right now that really is in bad shape, and probably could find some more, but there's 3, I know 1, 2, 3 or 4 that's in pretty bad shape. But I'll look at our records and
So, if we turn it over to the county, it will cost us money, right?
if they solve it.
If they solve it. How much money do you reckon it would be?
No, but we budget for code enforcement, I don't know, for
Okay.
what they have to do.
Okay, okay. Well, I'd suggest anything we can do it. I mean, you know,
I think it's
That-
time to do it.
yeah, it's time to do it, and, yeah. Cause they just ain't gonna do it. I mean, you gotta use steps, you know, it wouldn't do for me to go talk to them, cause they ain't gonna do it. I mean, and that puts you in liability
Well,
yourself.
he actually told me and Marcia that he was gonna call his attorney, because we were harassing
Yeah,
him.
well, he's.
Don't harass him no more, just let him know.
Have to call our attorney, go say, look.
Yeah.
Let his attorney give me a call, whoever he or she may be.
He probably don't have one.
It tends to never happen
No.
when they say that without giving you a name.
Okay, so we've had a discussion, can we get a motion, I
To
guess?
send pending
To send-
cases of code enforcement to Washington County?
Yeah.
Yes.
What does it say?
Motion to send pending cases of code enforcement cases to Washington County.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to send them, okay?
All right, we have a motion to send those pending cases, to code enforcement. And just in the event that, that name of ours, last at the left, and just to name down, you may want to call up her and make sure we do have code enforcement. They did have the office occupied today. Okay, we have a motion for a second.
I'll second it.
We've got a motion and a second that we send pending names to the code enforcement for assistance. Any other discussion on the motion? Have you, Mr. Wolfson?
Yes.
Mr. West?
Yeah.
Mr. Carter? Yes. Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Chair votes yes.
Okay, the last thing that I have. Greetings from our auditor. It's not pleasant.
How much is going up this year?
$25,000 is the audit, cost of the audit this year. For last fiscal year.
And it was what before?
Last year was 20,000, but we had a single audit last year, you know.
Yeah.
But he said he's been charging us $55 an hour for the last, he said, how long you been there, Margaret? I said, about 27 years. He said, for the last probably 30 years, I've been charging y'all $50 an hour, $55 an hour, and he said, well, for 100 hours now for $250 an hour.
Good grief.
$25,000.
How much?
It may not be $100 for that many hours, maybe 100 hours for 250, 100 hours, I don't know, anyway. It's been a long day, but it's $25,000 for the audit. We went out before and nobody would come close to him, but we can go some RFPs if you want to. Jeff, is that high?
That
For us?
strikes, yes, ma'am.
For us,
That
for as
strikes-
long as we are?
that
We're
strikes
not
me.
having a single audit this year, we didn't spend enough grant funds this year to.
The problem being is there's a certain amount of work they have to do, no matter the size of the municipality. Of course, once it gets to a certain size, the work increases relative to the size of the town or city, but that seems a little high for us. It does. You know, well, I can't say who I like, doesn't matter, we have to go out for it. But I can think of a couple other firms that I like Chris Johnson is a really good auditor with Grimsley CPAs. He does Bluntstown for us, does a very, very good job.
He used to do Washington County, work in there.
Grimsley, yeah, I know that firm.
He's over in Marietta.
Yeah.
Great guy, super nice guy. But he comes to mind. Carr Riggs is, I mean, they're great. They're just a huge firm.
They're huge, yes.
They have to charge a certain amount to,
We had
Meet
Salt
the
Marsh,
requirement.
Cleveland and Gunn a century ago, when we,
Before I started.
yeah. We've not had, over the history of the town, we haven't had so many, but,
I mean, we've got time to go out for,
when do we want to, the problem that you have, I think, when you start going out for, his hand's exposed now, this is public record, his hand's exposed. So, we started bidding on pipes one time, and the man said, I want your business, I don't want you to go out, because when you go out, I've got to bid our current prices. We went out, and our pipes went up 30% or what it was, probably needs one time or another, but it went up. And so the commissioner said, well, can we just go ahead and renew your contract? He said, not anymore.
Right.
If you're getting for $1 a foot, and
Can't
I'm
take
now
it
paying
back.
$1.50 a foot, I can't go back. My company said, this is what if you'd stayed with us, we could, so. But that's a big jump at one time.
20%.
Yeah, I'd want him to bring a hot plate down here and just not break for lunch, just stay right here and work all. Yeah.
I'm gonna find some.
What's the pleasure of council? Do we want to go out for bids for these services, or do we want to acknowledge that he's kept them low for a long, long time, and now the world situation has made him have to do something?
Now that he has the bid in writing, can he change it once we seek other bids?
Yeah, he can requote this, he can come down, he
I
can
help
do
it.
it. If we bid, and then there's a possibility if we bid, he won't even bid. I mean, there's lots of things that happens when you start opening up.
Well, it's a very good point that the mayor makes about that. I mean, it's, the story you just told, it's a legitimate possibility.
Yeah.
It could go and get worse from there.
And our fiscal year ended in September 30th, you know, so this audit's gotta be in Tallahassee by June 30th.
So he just went up from 20 to 25, is that correct?
Correct, but last year we had a single audit, you know, because of the firehouse. Anytime you spend over $750,000 in federal funds, you have to have a single audit, which they are more expensive, because they have to audit that firehouse. But this year we've only expended, $485,000 in CDBG funds, maybe $100,000 in USDA funds, and, our ARPA monies, you know, the 99,000, you know.
So what, do you remember off the top of your head what it was 2 years ago?
Sir, no. There's probably around.
When was 2 years ago?
There's probably around 12,000, somewhere along the 10 to 12,000 2 years ago.
So you're talking about single audit, and this one is, and the single audit is more expensive?
Yeah, we don't have a single audit.
So we got a less expensive audit that's costing us more.
Yes, sir. Sort of like our you know, we got water bills that's costing them more, you know. Assistant go up, that's a good thing we went up. Have to use our reserves for audit. And the main thing is that water system audit, you know.
How long have they done this? It wasn't always Carter, it was when,
It's been the same firm Hilton's been with since I started here, I know.
I
And
thought
before that,
I thought he had his own firm and then he rolled in or
I don't know.
partners with these guys or
I
something.
don't know, they got so many branches, but we've always dealt with Enterprise with Hilton, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And Hilton's local, he's kinda local, he's country boy, mostly, and I think, or back that way.
It was our often when Miss B was on the council.
Yeah.
So you got to have it done pretty quick.
Well, it's gotta be done and submitted to Tallahassee by June 30th. You don't wanna miss that deadline.
Yeah.
And you just call some other people and kind of ask them not to send out a bid? Can't do that?
No, ma'am.
There's professional, it's some kind, Jeff can probably tell you, but it's some kind of professional,
Negotiation
yeah, you
act.
can't do.
Well, and especially after we've talked about it.
Yeah.
On the record.
Yeah.
It'd be a bad idea.
Do you have any advice, Jeff, to give them? I mean, not what you said before, don't
Yes, sir.
repeat yourself, but any other advice on that?
All I could say is, if you wanna explore options, we'd have to get it out for bids
Real quick.
very
Yeah.
quickly. That's exactly right, because the time for bidding would be what it is too. It might be a safer course for the city to spend the extra money now and reconsider the matter later,
Next year.
based on timing and holidays and bidding and all that.
If we bid it in the spring, we'd have several months there to get somebody on before the next ordinance.
Yeah,
comes
before
in.
September 30th, yes.
If we did do that.
And the timing of it could and likely would affect the bids too, because they would recognize, they'd have to recognize that there's a timing problem for us,
Yeah.
that you need it quicker.
Yeah.
And that can drive the price
Price
up a
up,
little
yeah.
more than it would be ordinarily.
I agree, we probably better off stay where we're at for this year and advertise for next year.
Okay. So that, what's the opinion of the council? Do we need to stay put and bid it in the spring, or?
I think we need to stay put with what we got and rebid in spring.
Okay.
You make a motion on that?
That is my motion.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion is second. Any other? Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Chair votes yes.
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 Yes. That's all, that one,
That hurts.
yes, it did that.
We just signed that for a
No, we don't, since you don't want to continue in contract, we don't have to do anything else. Do we have to approve this contract by motion?
That's just a letter of,
Letter of engagement?
Engagement,
Intent,
yeah.
yeah.
and that is all I have.
Here,
Yes, sir.
all right, Mr. Park, anything for the council tonight?
I don't have anything.
Okay, Mr. Wolfson?
I just wanted to mention something, I called the DOT and they supposed to come and remove that bush that's, as you come up, where you can't see the chipper. But they was working, so I stopped and talked to them, and they supposed to come and remove that for anything safety, they said they would do it on the right of way that the state.
When you come out on Pioneer Road, and
Yeah,
go north of
Cadence,
Chipley.
Down on that corner,
Yeah.
okay, but they supposed to do it now, if they don't do it, they lied to me.
Up there at
okay?
the caution line,
Yeah,
when you pull up and turn north towards Chipley, there's a bush there.
There's a line of sight there.
Yeah, and then when you come out from Pioneer West and go looking to north,
yeah.
that's Sago Palm there at Katie's, you can't see across it.
But they supposed to do it, so.
Thank you for checking with me.
Well, I don't like it out there either, to be honest with you, so that's, I can't see sometimes for it,
Okay, anything else?
No, that's not.
Mr. Bird?
Fire department had a good barbecue Saturday.
They did.
They ran out ahead of time.
Those ribs was, and they had meat on them.
Yeah.
And that's how long,
It wasn't just barbecue.
we had two meals on them.
Yeah,
They said they cleared probably around $1,200.
Well, that's good.
that's good.
They could've sold more, cause they closed up like an hour early.
Yeah, yeah. Now, they're had doing hamburgers on this, day here too, weren't they?
Yes,
They doing
uh-huh,
hamburgers
they are
on the-
doing for a fundraiser.
Flat on the parade day?
On the third,
Mhm.
they doing it in the morning at the parade day or that night?
They're doing it, and that parade's at 1 p.m. So they're doing it after the parade, after Santa, they're gonna do their hamburgers for that afternoon.
Between the parade and the light.
Okay.
Anything else, Ms. Carter?
No,
Okay, the only thing I had was that we do have a code enforcement officer, apparently. I think we have a code enforcement and follow up on your pictures and Mr. Wilson have suggestion, whether that's what I had. It's,
You forgot Miss West.
oh, did I?
Yeah.
Have you got anything to do with us? Oh, yeah,
I'm
she's
trying-
between Miss Carter.
I'm trying to play catch up.
Okay,
On this, the FDOT thing, what is this right here? Cause I don't remember, was that during the workshop? Cause I've missed a workshop and I don't think I missed a meeting. I might have.
I don't
Can't
know,
remember
that
which
is the
word.
contract we signed where they forgave us for removing and then replacing our utilities.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they forgave us the cost of that.
So that's.
FDOT's gonna pay all
Okay.
part. Yes, we're blessed.
That's what I wanted to know. I went through and I was like, I don't even know what this is. I'm trying to play
Is our-
catch up on
is our water
everything I
bills
missed.
collection still going?
Oh, man, Marcy's working like a dog in a ball on them. They get a call, somebody gets a call every day.
Yes, I was.
Okay.
I wasn't in a
Oh,
workshop, I must have worked.
I'm gonna be like Margaret now, one other thing. Yeah, I was just fixing to address that, each of you got one of these. I did not call each of you, violation of sunshine or just, careful or whatever, but I did talk to Mr. Carter, and, what you have there, the top note is mine, and then the letter that you have in here from him, I've copied and pasted, and then, so I can go in under each of his questions and answer that question, go to the next and answer that, and something like that. If I spoke for any of you and this is not the way you feel, I would be glad to readdress that or do whatever what we need to. We did invite him to be here tonight. To my knowledge, he is the only, well, to me, he is the only person that has said anything to me about our water rates. I expected our phone to light up like Christmas.
I did too.
Mine did not. I did call Margaret one day or call Marcy one day, and I do know that there was one other person in the building that was loud, but he's loud anyway. And he was unhappy about the water thing, but he finally said, well, I know what y'all got to do or something like that. Yeah, I think he left all right.
Marcy told him was to balance the budget, and I said, no, it's not to
No.
balance the budget, it was to build our reserves, pay for an audit now.
Yeah. So if you've read that, or if you do read it and you think that I've not answered it correctly, how can they let me know? How do we address this?
Submit everything to Margaret, and let her convey their opinions to you.
Okay.
And that's not communicating about anything that you gotta be voting on.
Yeah, okay.
And I think that'll be just fine.
Expression of opinion.
Yes, sir.
If there's anything in there, in the yellow, that is not your feelings on the issue, if you let Margaret know, she will let me know. And then there's one item there that I don't recognize. Christmas bonus for employees.
Hey, you know, we don't meet till late in December.
Bonus.
Bonus.
Here we are,
How much
dishing
is
out
that?
money.
Yeah, y'all dish out some more.
How much did I recommend this year?
I don't know. I did leave you some discretion, you know?
You didn't say, I want this much.
Mr. Rogers always usually had his taken care of, before we got to the table, but I've been hard to get,
Yeah,
it.
I usually take care of
What do we,
it.
what's our
You,
history?
last year, y'all gave us 300 apiece for all the employees, you know. That's me and Steve and, Tim. And then Marcy is new, you know, she's not been here 6 months yet, whatever, but she's working hard, y'all. She is
How long has she
working.
been here?
She started in September.
That's right, she started after Labor Day.
Mhm.
She's been here
12.
after that.
12th of September, yes, she,
She's been here 3 months.
and she's doing her job. Did I?
Seemed like we had that come up one time before, we had, and it may have been, Dave or somebody, and I think we treated him like an employee, because we gave them leave, and I'm like, yeah, they just had to go through that probation, and
They
I
did.
don't have a problem anyway if we do it, or if we wait till they get through probation. We gave them 300 last year.
Yeah.
That was too much.
It
Why
would.
would we do that?
Y'all need to do more, you know,
Why would we do that?
cause y'all trying to kill us.
I signed them checks, I didn't know we was giving Margaret as much as we are, it's just.
I guess I didn't look either. We'll have to,
Yeah,
start,
I didn't
I'll
know,
have to start using my,
yeah, I didn't know we was paying these people so as much as we do. How is our budget this year? You've always been honest with us.
Our budget
We-
looks pretty good right now.
Yeah, okay,
How it's, you know, what it look, you know,
yeah. Before we make a recommendation, when we meet our next time, how in-depth of a budget report can you give us?
Well, at the quarter, you know, I didn't do it this quarter because we just started, you know.
Right,
But you'll get a budget versus expenses report at our next quarterly meeting.
okay. What I'd like to do, like for you to do, well, this is what if y'all want something else, and if you don't want it to come here, you can give it to me. I like occasionally to have a more in-depth of that, because we got 5, 6 grants going on. A grant number won't necessarily mean anything to me. Are we talking about this road, are we talking about the park, or are we talking about something else? I know we had those, odd resources. I always think about the tower thing where we actually spent money, but we agreed not to spend money, we were gonna put it back, but we hadn't put it back. And then we got CARES, and we got COVID, and we got,
We didn't get CARES.
we didn't get
We
CARES.
ain't getting no CARES money.
Oh,
Jeff's still working on that. He said every one of his municipalities got CARES plus.
Everybody but Wausau.
We got Wheeler and Associates, and they're supposed to be working on it for us.
please don't quit working on it, no CARES.
I think Wheeler's your guys.
Is that something you can do, just sit down and say,
How much the
let me remind you, this is grant, this
Rogers
is,
Park, so much for grant money.
that, yeah,
Grant,
income.
Jackson Street,
outgo.
so much for grant money.
Yeah,
I can do that.
I'd like you to do that, and you said that it's going to automatically have income and
Versus
outgo,
expenses, yeah.
income and expense, it's
Yeah.
going to automate. Our program here, and the basic program I've always used is this, after all this time, you think I'd have it in mind, but I need to know estimated revenue, collected revenue, estimated expenditures, actual expenditures. A budget is just a guide, you're not locked into that. If we say that we want to spend $10,000 on something, and that something doesn't happen, we don't have to spend that $10,000. But we're gonna say we're gonna spend $10,000 and it happened, and we're gonna spend 12, we gotta spend 12, but we had to make the budget amendments and things like that. I'd like to see a little more detail
I
on
can do
that.
that.
Especially if we're going through a transition within the next couple of years. I want the next council and the next clerk to come on having an in-depth understanding of what we're doing.
I can do that.
Okay, so, I recommend that we give our employees the same, bonus that we did last year. I actually think we raised it a year or two ago.
Yes, last year we raised it.
Last year we raised it, so let's say they're, a year.
Inflation, you know.
And, I-
Everything went up this year, didn't it, Mark?
Yes, sir.
and now that's a recommendation, see, now the council has a chance to
No,
make a motion to do more, or.
she wasn't wanting, Margaret wasn't wanting no more, you know. Nah, I'm kidding.
Margaret will want all you get.
Yeah, I'm kidding. We all would, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
And I recommend that we do that and that we treat, Marcy as a regular employee. And if that's pleasing to you, I'll accept a motion of that, or I'll accept a motion for an alternate to that suggestion.
I'll make a motion we accept that.
Okay, we have a motion to accept that, is there a second?
Go ahead,
I'll
Sarah.
second it.
We got a motion and a second, all right. Ms. West?
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz-Nam?
Yes.
Chair, yes. Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, yes, thank you all for them.
Thank y'all for the work you do. Mr. Carter?
I don't have anything to add. Does anybody have any questions for me?
I did, but I didn't write it down.
That's all right. Feel free to email me.
Thank you.
And I read your email about that letter, by the way, and that was a good response, but you didn't ask me anything, so I didn't respond to it, trying to clog up your
And-
inbox.
Right, and when I said I talked to you, I told you about being able to speak, you and speak to the others.
Yes,
It's the
sir.
reason that I didn't speak to the others, that
Yes, sir.
that I could speak to you and not the others, but we did not discuss the content of the letter.
Yes, sir.
Okay, anything else for the good of the order? Accept the motion to adjourn,
So moved.
accept the second? Second. Let's move forward, everybody.